The upcoming Brazilian Grand Prix at the Interlagos circuit is set to be a key moment in the fight between the Red Bull and McLaren teams. The race is near the end of the season, and how both teams perform at this special track will greatly affect the final driver standings. The story of this race is about two different car designs going head-to-head. The Interlagos track is a tough test for car designers and engineers. It is a short, fast track with big hills and a layout that turns left more than right. The track forces teams to make a difficult choice when setting up the car. Teams must find a balance between needing low drag to be fast on the long uphill main straight and the back straight, and needing high downforce to keep grip through the twisty middle part of the track. Historically, this track has been a good test of how good a car is overall and how well drivers can adapt. It often leads to surprising results because of its rough surface and the sudden, frequent changes in weather. The track is also high up in São Paulo, which makes the air thinner. This thinner air makes the engine work less well and reduces the downforce the wings create. Teams have to use bigger wings than they would at tracks closer to sea level to make up for this. This height difference is a small but important factor that can change which driver has the edge. Red Bull's recent results show they come to Brazil with a small edge in pure speed, especially in fast corners and on the straight. The Red Bull car, driven by Max Verstappen and Yuki Tsunoda, has gotten better with new parts added during the season that have improved its overall airflow. Verstappen, in particular, is great at getting the most speed out of the car in practice and the race, even when the car setup is not perfect. The team's plan will be to use the car's natural speed on the straights, especially the run-up to the first big corner and the final part of the track, which are key for passing other cars. Historically, Red Bull has done very well at Interlagos, with their car often working great on the track's unique design. This history gives the team confidence, suggesting their car design is naturally suited to the track's needs. However, the Red Bull car has sometimes struggled in the tight, slow parts of tracks. The twisty nature of Interlagos' middle section could be a problem if the car is set up too much for straight-line speed. The team must find a careful balance to make sure the car is stable when braking and quick through the slow corners without losing its main speed advantage. The performance of both Verstappen and Tsunoda will be key for their individual positions in the driver standings. The team's ability to execute a perfect two-car plan will be vital for securing a dominant result, which directly helps their drivers' points. McLaren, on the other hand, has become a steady threat, often matching or beating Red Bull's speed in the second half of the season. The McLaren car is known for being well-balanced and fast in medium and high-speed corners. The team's strength is its ability to create constant downforce, which lets their drivers push hard in the corners. This feature is expected to be a big help in the twisty middle section of Interlagos, where good grip and stable airflow are most important. McLaren's main worry will be how their car performs on the long straights against Red Bull's faster top speed. McLaren's engineers will likely focus on making the car cut through the air better without hurting the downforce that gives them their cornering edge. The team's recent form, with both drivers often finishing on the podium, shows they are fully able to fight for the win in Brazil as long as they can handle the setup trade-off well. The McLaren car has been especially good at managing tyre heat and wear, which could be a deciding factor on the rough Interlagos surface. If the race needs many pit stops because of high tyre wear, McLaren's gentle approach to tyres could give their drivers a key edge over Red Bull's drivers. The steady performance of both Norris and Piastri means McLaren can deploy a more flexible and aggressive two-car plan, putting pressure on Red Bull's drivers for the whole race. This consistency is a main part of their fight for the top spots in the driver standings. The fight between the two teams will be decided by a few key things. The first is the trade-off between straight-line speed and cornering grip. The team that guesses the best downforce level for the race will give their driver a big advantage. A second key factor is tyre management. The rough surface of Interlagos is very hard on tyres, and the fast corners put a lot of heat into the rubber. Red Bull and McLaren have shown different ways of wearing tyres this season. The team that can better manage tyre wear and run a two-stop plan well will put their driver in a strong position. The driver's skill in keeping the tyres alive while pushing for fast laps will be a deciding part of the race. Keeping the cars cool will be a factor. with both teams needing to watch engine and brake temperatures closely during the race. Also, the Brazilian Grand Prix will have a sprint race, which makes things even more complicated. The sprint format means only one practice session before qualifying, so teams must get the car set up right immediately. This short schedule means any mistake in setup or slow reaction to the track conditions will be a bigger problem, possibly costing the drivers valuable points in both the sprint and the main race. Both Red Bull and McLaren have done well in the sprint format, but the unpredictable nature of Interlagos means the driver that can start the weekend with a nearly perfect setup will get a huge head start. The ability of the engineers to quickly look at the limited practice data and make good guesses for the rest of the weekend will be a quiet but important battle for the driver's success. The weather in São Paulo is always a wild card. Interlagos is famous for its sudden, heavy rain, which can turn the race from a dry sprint into a messy, wet challenge in minutes. When this happens, driver skill and team strategy become even more important. Max Verstappen has a great history of driving well in mixed and wet conditions, often showing better car control and judgment. His experience in these high-pressure, low-grip situations gives him a slight edge when the conditions are at their worst. However, the McLaren drivers, especially Lando Norris, have also shown they are very capable in the wet, with Norris having several standout performances in tricky conditions. The team that can react fastest and most accurately to changing weather and track conditions will be the one to gain the most from any chaos. The team's ability to make the right tyre choices under pressure, deciding between intermediate and full wet tyres, or when to switch back to slicks, will be a major strategic difference that could win or lose the race for their drivers. The history of the Brazilian Grand Prix is filled with races decided by these crucial weather-related strategy calls. In the end, the Brazilian Grand Prix is shaping up to be a direct and very close fight between Red Bull and McLaren. The race will not be won by just one thing, but by the driver who best handles the difficult setup choice needed for Interlagos, shows better tyre management, and runs a perfect plan under the pressure of the sprint format and the chance of surprising weather. The result will be a true test of which driver has the most complete and flexible car package at the end of the season. The fight for the best spot in São Paulo is expected to be a close one, with the final result likely decided by small gains in speed and execution. The last two races of the season will show how well these two top teams have developed their cars. The Interlagos circuit, with its special demands and history of drama, is the perfect place for this late-season showdown. The pressure on the pit crews and strategists will be immense, as every tenth of a second and every decision will be magnified in the tight battle for the top positions in the driver standings. This final push for performance and points will be a thrilling conclusion to the season's main rivalry.